I am absolutely furious about this right now. My sister is 19 and 4 months pregnant. Father bailed and kicked her out of his place as soon as she told him, and my parents live on the other side of the country. She goes to school here in our state, so she doesn't want to move back to our tiny little town. Since she didn't have a place to stay, my wife and I offered to let her live with us until after the baby got here. It wasn't ideal, but we have the room and the money to let it happen. First thing I told my sister when she came here, whatever you need, tell me and I'll help you. First thing I told her, because I didn't want her worrying about things for the baby or food. We still have all our baby furniture and toys and clothes from when our son was born in our garage, and it's in good condition. It's barely been over 2 months, and on the first week my wife was complaining because she couldn't find her earrings. I didn't think anything. Stuff like that is easy to lose sometimes, but then it started to add up. From her earrings, then one of my watches, a necklace, a pair of new shoes that we bought for our son, some of my wife's jewelry, my class ring. All this stuff was going missing, and it didn't click for me until I noted a few missing $20 bills from my wallet. At first I thought maybe it was my son, but honestly, the kid's 7 and still too honest. He cried once after he took an extra donut from the table and confessed immediately, so I doubted that he was the culprit. I confronted my sister, and it took a lot of grilling before she fessed up. Her defense was that she just wanted to make a little extra cash on the side for the baby. I was so furious with her. After telling her to come to me for anything she needs with the baby, she resorted to going behind my back and stealing from my family? I explained just how wrong she was to do this after she's had a roof over her head, food, and being told to come to us with whatever she needs help with. She apologized many times, but I told her she was going to have to pack her bags and leave. I'll give her 2 weeks to find a new place, but she better be gone by then. This just upset my sister more. She begged me to give her a second chance, but I feel like the trust has been broken. She wanted to stay here to continue school, but she'll have to find a way to support herself. If she can't, then she can move back in with our parents. Speaking of parents, they've been on top of me for the last few days over this, and I can't just kick her out when she has a child on the way. I've explained what she was doing. However, they still think I'm wrong here and need to give her another chance. The issue is, how will we know she won't be more sneaky about it? It's just not a risk I'm willing to take, and my wife is just as upset about this as I am. This hasn't stopped my parents from berating me all the time over our choice, and now I'm not sure if I'm being the idiot instead of giving her another chance. Definitely not the idiot. She stole multiple times from you and your wife. That means she already has had a second chance and a third chance, etc., to redeem herself. I would not want a thief in my house. She can go live with your parents and steal from them if they feel so strongly about it. Honestly, that's the part that hits the hardest here. If she stole one thing, super messed up and all that, but stealing shoes from a kid, watches, earrings, necklace, a class ring, and more? Jesus, what did she think? OP and his wife weren't going to notice? How do you think someone isn't going to notice their new kid's shoes vanished? You can't lose shoes. You wear them or store them. Stealing a laundry list of items and expecting no consequences isn't stupidity. It's insulting. That's like, yeah, not only will I steal from you, I'm going to make it blatant because I honestly don't care about you. It's another layer on top of the stealing. Yup, not the idiot. That's seriously what having a kid has inspired her to do? Become a thief? I understand those without means, but she had means. You offered her what she needed. She shouldn't be having a child yet. Not that it's up to me, but she's clearly not mature nor capable. Unfortunately, she is. It's time for mom and dad to parent her, book her a flight home, and take her to the airport. It sucks, but she's made her choices, and now the baby comes first. She can finish school in another state. Mom and dad are only guilting OP because they know the next logical place for her is back home with them, and they, no matter how much they may hate it, will have to take her in, even if they would almost rather she be out on the street. So they guilt OP into keeping her where she is. I have a feeling being pregnant isn't the only reason the boyfriend kicked her out. It may very well have been simply the last straw. OP locked down anything of value. You've now given her 14 days to ransack your place. My ex and I divorced when our daughter, teen, was a baby, because I found out he had been cheating on me and had a son a few months younger than our kid. He married his side piece, who at the time came from a rich family and regularly threw shade at us. He took care of her. I will never negate that. But during the first years of their marriage, my ex neglected our daughter emotionally because he was too focused on the wife, until she also tried to get my ex to stop paying child support and giving up his half of custody because she wanted him to, quote, leave his old life behind, including his daughter. Finally, my ex opened his eyes, and they separated for almost a full year until she promised to give up and attend therapy with him. My daughter and her brother don't have a relationship since his mother refused to let him have one. The only time they had together was when they were both with their dad, but nothing substantial came from it. I remarried when she was a little girl, and my husband and I set college funds for her, my stepchildren, and our baby. Her dad also contributed to the fund, but his contribution apportioned about $6,000 in 14 years since his wife restricted him financially. Now, I'm not really sure what happened, but my ex's wife lost all of our family's money, so they went bankrupt almost 2 years ago. To survive, they had to sell their house, drain their savings, and eventually their kids' college fund. I knew all of this because they came to my house a week ago because they wanted to talk. My ex explained what had happened and then asked if I would be willing to give his son half of his sister's college fund. I said no, that the money belonged to our daughter and she had every right to keep it. Then his wife said I should give back what my ex gave, and I said sure, but he only put $6,000 towards the fund, so they should only expect that amount. She called me a liar because I smooched all of his money, and while I say that he gave a larger quantity for child support, that was mandatory, and that money won't be given back. I could see he was sad, but his wife accused me of ripping his son's education from his hands just because I was a bitter witch. I said that either way, their son wasn't my responsibility, and to not bother my daughter or me with that again. Before they left, my ex asked me to please reconsider because it's not fair that only one of them goes to college debt-free. I still said no. Not the idiot. Wow, transference much? That's about the time I'd be like, there's the door. Let it hit you from behind on your way out. If their financial situation is as bad as they say, the kid will qualify for all kinds of grants and loans, if in the U.S., and community college is also a great resource, and that is their problem to deal with, not yours. Do not give 1 cent of your daughter's money away. What her father paid in is hers and should not be paid back. Furthermore, your husband and his wife have behaved horribly toward you and your daughter, and they have no right coming to you for money. It's their bed. Let them lie in it. If the roles were reversed, would they pay for your daughter's school? If the roles were reversed, OP would probably not have even been let into their home to plead her case. OP, this behavior by your ex and his wife is just gross. Also, half or even all of the $6,000 wouldn't put anyone through college debt-free, at least if you're in the U.S. Furthermore, I'm going to hazard unsupported speculation and say that may not be what they want the money for anyway. If they already blew through their own college nest egg, I'm guessing that wasn't a high priority for them. My son and his wife are 25 and 27, and I'm 45. They both worked full-time until a few months ago, when his wife had to stop for reasons that aren't mine to share, and my son has become insufferable. It recently culminated in me telling him he needed to stop whining about the situation and man up. I love my son very much, but he's always online posting about how hard he has to work or going on unprovoked monologues about the stress of being a family's sole breadwinner. He does this openly, doesn't even try to hide it from his wife. It clearly makes her feel bad or like she's not pulling her weight, since he also talks about having to do everything around the house and care for his wife since she's, quote, on IR for now. I talked to her, and she told me she wasn't bothered by anything but him claiming he does everything at home, because according to her, he doesn't. When I pointed out everything to him, he said, well, you and her can't understand what it's like to be the sole income of a household, and that I should, quote, Ask Dad, since he could tell you. His father was the sole breadwinner for a long time. I work too now, though. But yes, he knows what it's like. But he, his father, or my father, were never this dramatic. I never once heard my husband or dad express any worry over bearing the entire burden. These were men. They didn't do that. They manned up and kept it moving. Sure, they may have felt a little uneasy about it, but they didn't dwell on it, and they certainly didn't belittle their wife's contributions and lie about doing everything at home as well. My daughter pointed out, he's my son, and I shouldn't be standing up for his wife if it means putting him down. But I'm just tired of him moaning and groaning in person and online about his situation, along with basically saying his wife is not pulling her weight. My son-in-law is the sole breadwinner, and he doesn't badmouth my daughter or whine about things. My 19-year-old nephew works 2 lower-paying jobs to pay the bills for his girlfriend and their newborn. So it's literally only my son who whines about his situation while expecting sympathy for staying with his, quote, basically helpless wife. It isn't okay with me. Not the idiot. No offense, but what planet is your daughter living on? It's okay to love your son unconditionally, but you also can't let him say these sorts of things. And the fact that you won't reveal what's wrong with his wife only proves that it's bad and that he shouldn't say these things. You are the idiot. This, my friends, is what we call toxic masculinity. Shaming your son for venting his feelings is a majorly idiot move. Stop setting different standards for men versus women based on nonsense sitcom depictions of the 1950s nuclear family. It's destructive both to the people you impose it upon, as well as the people around them. Not only are you nosing into other people's business, you're doing it in a way that's more destructive than the behavior you're trying to correct. Not the idiot. When you get married, you literally sign up to be with your SO whenever and whatever is happening. If he can't stop complaining about giving her the life she deserves and lying about doing house chores, he shouldn't be married. That's the whole thing about getting married, to support your SO and be with them, knowing there will be good days and bad days. Your son is the idiot. Everyone's an idiot. I'm going to go ahead and say that your father and husband more than likely talked about how hard it can be too, complained about it. They just did it in person to their friends over beers because social media didn't exist back then. You're trying to hold your son to a standard that you're wrong about. That said, he's wrong for doing it in the way he is. Does he not have friends that he can vent to in person rather than publicly online? He needs to stop using social media as an attention sponge to validate his breadwinner stresses. I'm partially deaf and have an auditory processing disorder. Basically, conversations are difficult. You have to speak very loudly and enunciate your words correctly in order for me to understand. I can lip read to an extent, but not very well. My little sister, young teen, is currently going through a phase of speaking very quietly, barely moving her mouth. I don't know what this is, but it makes conversations incredibly difficult. I have to ask her to repeat herself upwards of 10 times. In addition, she doesn't know how to sign, and her handwriting is pretty bad, so I can't read what she writes. I'm also dyslexic. Our parents decided to put all the disabilities in one child. So the only way I can talk to her is if one of our siblings repeats everything she says for me, which is frustrating and quite humiliating for me. My sister can speak loudly. She has no issue yelling if she's being spoken over, so I don't think it's an anxiety thing. It's really frustrating that she insists on talking quietly with me. For the past week or so, every time she's tried to talk to me, I've told her she could either speak up or not speak at all, because I'm over putting in so much effort. If she wants to talk to me, she can fix her speech patterns. One of my brothers has agreed with me. He isn't hard of hearing. Her talking quietly just annoys him, but everyone else is insisting I'm asking too much, that it's just a phase she'll grow out of. I shouldn't be cutting contact because of something so minimal. I'm less stressed, and she has been speaking clearer around me, but she does seem quite upset over it. On the one hand, her comforts don't come above my accommodations, but on the other, I feel like an awful person. I'm refusing to talk to my sister until she speaks correctly, which is clearly upsetting her. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I'm sorry to say this, but there's a very good chance that this phase of hers is directly related to your disability. Speaking more softly could be a phase, but also not moving her lips as much? No, I don't think that's a coincidence when she has a deaf brother. She doesn't like that you get the extra attention of accommodations from others, so she's either consciously or subconsciously refusing to accommodate you. Your parents should have been the ones to nip this in the bud, and it's a shame that they haven't. She might need to go to see a family counselor about this, because I think it could be much deeper than a teenage phase. I think there's something to this. As someone very sensitive to loud and constant noise, maybe it's possible that the whole family speaks louder in general to ensure that OP is included, so sister is rebelling against this. I could have very strange reactions to noisy environments at her age without clearly understanding why. I do agree that even in this case, parents should be fully invested in finding a solution for this, and a doctor or family counselor would be one solution. I know this is an outside possibility, but is there maybe someone in your sister's life telling her that she talks too loud and isn't ladylike? Women and girls get a lot of social cues telling them to be quiet and pretty, and that talking loudly and clearly, enough for you to understand, makes her look emotional and hysterical. I think you're being unfair to your sister. You're assuming that she's doing this to bother you, and not because there's something else going on, like a young kid who feels isolated, becoming increasingly more isolated because her parents keep taking her phone away. Her siblings ice her out when she tries to speak. You are the idiot. I can understand your frustration, but having a disability isn't an excuse to be awful to your kid's sister. My math teacher is Mr. Ben, and he's literally like 70 years old, but he's a really good math teacher, and he's really funny. I hated him because he made me do my work, but after 6th grade tutoring, he helped me so much. I'm in geometry as a freshman, but he's weird, no doubt. So there's this total witch senior in my geometry class who is just a loser but popular. Well, she was watching TikTok videos of people popping zits, and no matter what, she would not stop, no matter how many times Mr. Ben asked her to stop. He even said that she could go into the quad and watch videos, just don't disrupt the people wanting to learn. She refused, so he said if she wanted to see blackheads, he had plenty on his back, and lifted up his shirt. Everyone freaked out, but it was like nothing. I don't even think he got above like his lower waist, but all the dramatic witches started crying and screaming, like something horrible had happened. We are supposed to be talked to by the vice principal, and we have an indefinite sub. Everyone is like, go crazy, snap, and they all want us to tell a story to get him fired. I said I was going to tell the truth, but the girl's boyfriend said he'd do something bad to me if I don't tell the same story as the rest of the class. What should I do here? You should tell the truth about the teacher, and you should also report the idiot who threatened you. Bullying should have a zero-tolerance policy in any school. It's not okay to be threatened into lying. Do the right thing and tell the complete truth about your teacher, about this bully, and about the kids planning to lie. Tell your parents or a school counselor to back you up because you refuse to lie. Don't lie. You will ruin this man's life. You could get into a lot of trouble, and I'm sure when you're an adult, you'll regret lying because you would have gotten a nice old, yet weird man fired from his job he has dedicated his life to over some non-incident. He won't be able to get another job afterwards, so you will literally destroy his life. Do the right thing. As someone who has a lot of family members in education and a lot of personal experience as well, this teacher will be punished, period. It is clear that he was having fun, but it is still never appropriate to act the way he did in the classroom. I'm not suggesting he behaved in a creepy way, nor am saying that he's a bad person or a bad teacher. However, he clearly broke an ethical rule for teachers, and he should be properly reprimanded.